What is going on, everyone, and welcome to Stock Rank. My name is Johnny, and it is so good to be with you all. And today we are going to be talking about building a good stock portfolio. Let's go ahead and get started. So I do want to apologize to all of you who were expecting a couple of videos this past weekend. I wasn't able to post any videos because I was actually in a conference. So I do want to apologize for that. Also, I want to let everyone know I am not a financial advisor, so please do your own due diligence. These are simply just my thoughts and opinions when it comes to building a good stock portfolio. It has helped me immensely. So maybe these are certain things that you could be thinking about when it comes to building your own stock portfolio. So the first thing that you need to know when it comes to building your own stock portfolio is you need to know your limit. One thing that I really want to ask myself is how much risk can I handle? A good way to look at that is if the stock market or if your portfolio dropped a certain amount of percent, whatever percent that is, would you be okay? And so basically what I ended up doing is I wrote down my number and I said, if the portfolio goes down 50%, then I will be able to sleep at night. And so whatever number that is for you, I just encourage you to write that number down somewhere. And be honest with yourself, because the reality is that you want to be able to sleep at night. There's going to come a point where your portfolio will go down that percentage. And so it's a good way to test to see how confident you are, not only in the stocks that you have, but also how well diversified you are. So the second thing that you need to know when it comes to building a good stock portfolio is you need to know what kind of market you're in. Now this is really key because this goes to show you how much cash you should be having on the sideline. If we are in a spot where the stock market just crashes out of nowhere, then you should be able to get rid of a lot of cash and push that into the stock market. But if we're in a spot where stocks are just jumping like crazy, you want to be able to save a lot of that money. And so that's why it's really important to know what kind of market you're in so that you can handle your cash well. And so I've actually made 5 different possibilities for myself to determine what kind of market we're in. I use the crash market, the bearish market, the neutral market, the bull market, and the spike market. Now, of course, these are just terms that you've probably have heard before, but I just meshed them all together in a way that I'll be able to recognize what kind of market we're in. The other thing that you need to consider, though, is some sectors of the market are going to be different. When the certain thing that happened last year, when all that stuff went down, there were certain stocks that were hit really hard. But then when the recovery happened, there were certain stocks that were really lagging. Most of them were actually really undervalued in comparison. So that's why it's really important to recognize when you look at your portfolio what certain stocks are either significantly undervalued or what sectors are significantly undervalued, and that should help determine how much cash you should be able to have on the sideline. And so the other thing that I would like to know when it comes to building a stock portfolio is I need to know how diversified I truly am. Now this can go from the different sectors that you're a part of, but I'm more so talking about how many stocks I have. Let's just say that one piece of news was released for every single stock. Would I be able to listen or read all those different news articles or press releases or conference calls within that week to be able to keep up? If I can't, then that goes to show that I'm not going to be able to pay attention to the minute details when it comes to these stocks. As I said before, all this comes down to being confident in what you invest in. And so that's why asking yourself that question will actually help you determine how much you can handle. Now, that doesn't mean you can't do more, but I would like to know the ins and outs of every single company that I'm invested in, so that when something were to go wrong, or let's say someone releases an article about the company that's bad, I have the support and I know what's going on within the company to be able to either push back against that or see if that actually lines up with the things that are actually going on in the company. And so the last thing that we need to know when it comes to building a good stock portfolio is we need to know how much money we have in each individual account. And I say that because there's going to be different things for different people. Some may have multiple accounts, some may have maybe a dividends account or something like that. So that's why I say for an individual account, how much money do you have in the market? As I'm sure many of you guys could figure out, the more stocks that you have within an account, that means that you'll probably have less risk unless you're just throwing them all into penny stocks, which if that is you, good luck to you. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I'd be able to handle all those different penny stocks, but if that is you, man, you can handle a lot of risk. And so if you are new to the market, I would just consider staying more on the lower end when it comes to the number of stocks you have in a portfolio. The reason why I say this is because you need to get used to being able to look at all the news articles and be able to handle the different conference calls. For many people, it could take a lot of hours to be able to do the research on these different stocks and even be able to keep up with them. So that's why I would just consider the idea of staying more around maybe 3 to 4 stocks, just so you have the confidence being able to keep up with those. And then once you get more comfortable in it, then it could be a good idea to start moving up with the number of stocks that you have in your account. So I know that a lot of people have come up with their own ideas in terms of how many stocks they should have in their own portfolio. Personally, for myself, I can handle a lot more risk, so I'm not afraid to be on the lower end when it comes to the number of stocks I have in my portfolio. But I just want to go ahead and give a quick idea that you could consider when it comes to the number of stocks that you should have in your portfolio with respect to the amount of money that you already have in the stock market. Now, like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, so all these numbers that I'm giving are simply just my opinions. Of course, you may want to have less risk, and so that would mean that you would probably want to have more stocks within your portfolio. But for myself, I like to be more focused on the gains. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm ignoring risk at all. But what I don't want to do is to simply say,
oh, I believe in these 10 stocks.
But in reality, I'm actually really confident in like 4 or 5. So that's why it's really important for you to ask yourself, how much risk can you handle? And if you feel comfortable enough to take more risk on, then it might be a good idea to have not as many stocks as someone else would that needs to have a little bit more of that comfort. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you don't mind, would you consider liking this video and hit that subscribe button as well? And would you comment down below exactly what your thoughts are when it comes to building a good stock portfolio? Because I know I am not perfect by any means whatsoever, and so it's also good for myself to hear your guys' opinions on this, so that we can put all of our knowledge together and really build up one another, not only as people but also in our portfolio. So hope you have a good rest of your weekend. We'll see you in the next one.